If you have been around my YouTube channel in the last couple of weeks, you will know I've been covering Brighter Shores. This is the game affectionately being referred to as RuneScape 4. It's not. It's a completely different IP, but it's from the RuneScape creator. If you want to know more about Brighter Shores, there's a video up there in the upper right-hand corner. Today's video is really going to be a continuation of my MMO discussion series, and it's sparked off from a PC Gamer magazine article. RuneScape creator's new MMO has an unorthodox solution for the inevitable waves of bots, giving you a legitimate way to bot the game yourself. Brighter Shores is cutting down on the grind by letting you set your character to work overnight. Now, this is a really controversial topic. I've already had some really good feedback. I would love your feedback, so leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about the idea of legitimate botting. Now, Andrew starts the interview by saying, obviously, you're never going to completely eliminate bots. And this is absolutely true. It is impossible to have a 100% removal rate of bots. Now, the best way to combat bots is with active GMs going around server to server, and in Brighter Shores' case, room to room, making sure people aren't automating their gameplay. The problem is this is a very cost-prohibitive solution. Active GMs requires employee time, and employee time adds up really quickly. So Andrew says our approach has been to more to make it so that they don't negatively impact the game. Design the economy so it's not going to be broken if a lot of people bot. That's the way the instancing works. You're not going to be standing in a chunk and there'll be tons and tons of bots all around you. Now, this is the second best way to combat botting. If you make your economy not impacted as much by bots, that really helps. Also, Brighter Shores will require a premium pass in order to enable player-to-player trading. So it does look like they have the best intentions in mind, but I'm not quite sure if at this point everyone's going to accept legitimate botting as the solution to malicious botting. Andrew goes on to say, Brighter Shores is trying to minimize grindy gameplay with a feature that sets your character to carry on doing activities even when you're logged out. Now, I know right here what some people are going to say. They're going to say, well, if it's grindy gameplay, why did you design it that way? Why didn't you design the gameplay loop better? And I think the key to this is at the bottom. You might be doing combat while every night your character is doing fishing, or vice versa. Put a pin in that, and I'm going to come back to it in a little bit. Gower also says, I just cannot face chopping down this tree for another 10 hours. And some people might resort to illegitimate gameplay in order to accomplish tasks. We're hoping that massively disincentivize people from breaking the rules. There's a safe way that isn't going to get you banned. And in some ways, I think a lot of the comments I'm about to show are kind of getting us there, maybe with one less step. But sure, if you give people a legitimate way to bot, maybe they won't use illegal programs. And then I'll be intrigued to see how this theory bears out. To keep things fair and to not accidentally create a game that you don't actually have to play, Gower says the automated system in Brighter Shores doesn't give you XP as fast as if you're doing it yourself, which the writer of the PC Gamer article said, which I suspect may incline more than a few people to try botting the illegitimate way. And again, we've already established we can't expect a game developer to have a 100% bot removal rate. I think anything above 75-80% is actually going to be very good. And I think it would be one of the more aggressive anti-botting games. And if you disagree, if you think the minimum acceptable threshold is 90 or 95%, leave that in a comment, because I'd really like to know where people are thinking developers need to get to with bot removal. Now, I did run a poll on my channel. My channel is very small, so I get very few respondents. If you want to jump in on the polls, I do subscribe to the channel. I try to ask a question every day. And as you can see, in order to stop people from using bots in an online game, a possible solution is to give people a legitimate way to bot the game, and 81% of people do not agree with this statement. Some of the comments I got were, Perfect World International did this to combat botting, then everyone had 25 characters running small screen, grinding every mob. It made things 100% worse. And I definitely could see how that would happen. If these bots are going to go out into the real world and engage in rooms, then not only is it going to create a lot of clutter, it's going to create a lot of extra sharding, created a lot of extra rooms, and it may impact players who are actually at their keyboard being able to get mobs or resource points. So that is a legitimate concern. No, because it'll become mandatory in basically any guild content that is even remotely competitive to bot, which means I have to leave my computer on to bot. Now, I understand where this person is going to talk about the cost of electricity, the wear and tear on the PC, and it is going to be environmentally bad if millions of people are leaving their PC on. Absolutely. What we saw is that it's going to be while you're offline. Now, they didn't specifically say you're offline and logged out, but I kind of read it as that. It's not going to be you're taking up a spot on the server, because then of course that's going to cause queues. It's going to cause massive server populations. So I didn't read it that way. They said I would offer an alternative which WoW used to do, and that is to have followers which you can send out on missions to gather resources. And that's kind of the feeling I'm getting Brighter Shores is going with. They're just not creating a follower system. They're creating your character goes and do it. Final Fantasy XIV has this retainers idea. BDO has the workers idea. And I think we've seen this in other games be somewhat successful. And we might get there. We might get what that person wanted. I wouldn't mind a way that discourages player botting, but maybe a minor NPC hire system or something that slowly generates passive materials. Maybe the rate could change with how much work you put into supplying them with basic needs or NPC skills, or maybe even the quality of the equipment or buildings could change effectiveness. And yes, these are all really great ideas. These are ways to automate resource gathering or automate tasks and not have that dirty word legitimate botting attached to it. So I stand at a training dummy all night and I get passive combat XP. I have a blacksmith's assistant who makes ingots for me all night. I have a miner assistant who goes out and mines for me at night. Now, you could do this as a follower system where they get the XP, or if you wanted to kiss and keep it simple, stupid, then the follower is really just an interface and the skills just transfer to you. Somebody said no, because people are going to find a way to exploit regardless. If you want to combat botting, spearhead botting. And yes, in an ideal world, that is the #1 solution. If you want to combat botting, have active GMs who combat botting. But then active GMs cost money. What's the monetization? What's the price points? Can you still do a free-to-play game if you need that many active GMs? Will the premium pass cover active GMs and active development and future development and ops and sustainment? Asking for a lot of active GMs is asking to stretch $1 to the max. I can only answer that I don't agree with the statement. Giving people a legitimate way to bot the game shouldn't be a solution to the botting problem. If you want to let people bot, then it should be part of what makes the game fun. And I think that is the recurring theme. I think people aren't accepting, and they're pushing away this, I don't want to be a legitimate bot, but everyone's like, yeah, give me a retainer or give me a worker or give me a follower or an apprentice. And that sounds really good. So maybe that's something that maybe not for a Q3 launch, but maybe that's something Andrew could pivot it to in time and say, hey, this actually is going to be better received. I hate bots. I love EVE Online, and I understand 33% or more of the players are bots. I don't agree with that statement, but okay. Even with such a high margin, the economy of EVE Online is still stable and effective. You can flex your account with standard gameplay amounts. True, not relevant to this discussion, but that is true. I suppose my problem with bots is it makes the game less immersive. I played too much Lost Ark and quit when all I would see is bot armies, much like Silk Road. And I would 100% agree, if the player bots are going to be going out into zones and you're going to see them but not be able to interact with them, I think that's going to be immersion breaking, because hey, I'm playing a game and all I ever see is bots. Now, if the bots go into their special part of the program, the code, and they're not out in the real world, I think that's okay. I definitely can see, though, this recurring theme. Personally, I think it's a good idea. And I know a lot of you are like looking around the room like, wait, Jay thinks this is a good idea. No, I think this is a good idea. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, you won't like every task, right? You're not going to like every task in the game. You might like combat, but you might not like fishing. You might like cooking, but you might not like fishing. You might like alchemy, but again, you don't like fishing. So you don't want to spend your limited playtime doing a task you hate. So you're going to set yourself to do the task you hate while you're not online. Is it going to take a long time to do? Sure, because you get XP at a lower rate. But is it going to be you passing the pain? Sure. Now, other people are going to say, but I love fishing and I hate combat. Okay, well, you do your fishing online and let your character level combat. Now, if XP is slower when using botting, then this really does create a non-pay-to-win catch-up, keep-up mechanic that everybody can use. One thing that drives people out of games is, oh, I can't keep up because I only have 3 hours a night and maybe 6 hours on the weekend, so I feel like I'm always falling behind. Well, you wouldn't be falling behind as much if every minute you're not logged in, your character is doing tasks to stay on point. So that's maybe a secondary or tertiary thing a couple of people didn't look at. I do like the idea of keep up mechanics. I'm not huge on catch up mechanics, but I like keep up mechanics. And I think this does check that box. Also, people want massive games, but massive games need population. So I would rather have somebody play Brighter Shores for 4 hours a day, knowing they can bot the other 20 and feel like they're relevant. I would rather have somebody that says, I only have 2 hours a day to play an MMO. Let me play Brighter Shores because I can still stay somewhat relevant, rather than say, oh, I only have 2 hours. I'll just play League of Legends or I'll just play Call of Duty. And then we don't get that person in the game. It is an MMO, so I know some people's comments are going to be, well, if it's an MMO, just rely on other players for the things you need. And yeah, that's absolutely valid. But Andrew wants it so that you don't need to rely on others. Now, is a guild working together going to be able to completely stomp a solo player that's using automated fishing, automated mining? Yes, absolutely. And teamwork makes the dream work. If I have a miner supplying me materials and I'm a blacksmith, I'm going to get materials faster. That miner is going to level faster, get the perks of being higher level faster, better resources. However Andrew has designed that gameplay loop, well, I'm going to benefit as the blacksmith if I have a real-time friend or friends or guildmates supplying me ore. However, again, massive games need massive population. That solo player, that socially awkward person, they're more inclined to try the game if they can be self-sufficient, and then they're a more prime-ready target to recruit into a guild, because it's going to be very hard to recruit somebody who isn't even in the game to come into the game and then into your guild. So I see a lot of positives from this automated botting idea. I just hope that Andrew has the time or the insight to say, you know, maybe not call it automated botting and maybe have an apprentice, an assistant, some other thing. But that's just what I think. What do you guys think? Number one, would you feel better if it was an assistant or an apprentice? Number two, do you think automation just should be completely removed and not in the game? And if you want to be a level 1000 lumberjack, you got to just suck it up, buttercup, and do 1,000 levels of grinding? And number three, is the idea of automated botting, legitimate botting, going to be a make or break for you? Is this the straw that says, nope, I'm out, no Brighter Shores for me? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you next time.